Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this EPS Virtual Open Day. It's my pleasure today to have with me as well the members of the EPS team. We have Dr. Maxim David from Leiden University. We have Eliška Ulrichová, who's the main coordinator of the program. Ladislav Beneš, responsible for extracurricular events. And we'll have also students who will give you their perspective. Welcome, Katrin. So today I will start with a short presentation to give you the main points, main elements, and some points that are related to the structure of the EPS program. Then Dr. David will tell you a bit about the Leiden experience, the Leiden part, Eliška about the coordinating team, and Katrin to give you the student's perspective. And then the most important part may be the question and answers. We'll have about 60 minutes. And this program is going to be streamed, so you can even look at it later. So I will start with a short presentation. So European Politics and Society is an Erasmus Mundus joint master degree. It's a 2-year program. First, all our students start in Prague. So you will meet with your colleagues in Prague during the Prague semester. You will start with an introductory session, a welcome week, so that you can really meet your fellow colleagues and the members of the academic team. You will be introduced to the institutional practices at the Charles University, because you are all students of Charles University. And you will start with the academic writing course, which is a prerequisite to our EPS courses. Our students during the first semester have only obligatory courses, as the program is multidisciplinary. And to give you an idea about the curriculum, you will have a transnational history course, culture and politics course, current challenges and in Europe course, and of course also methodological courses. We combine frontal teaching with seminars. And of course, we offer not only academic activities. I will tell you a bit later about also some extracurricular events that I hope contribute to some kind of team spirit in the EPS consortium. Of course, you are in Prague, so you will get a chance to discover Prague, this beautiful historical city, and also its surroundings. For the second semester, our students leave for Leiden University or Jagiellonian University in Krakow. So we will split into 2 groups. You will focus on EU institutions, maybe mainly European integration courses. You will have a variety of courses, but also we will prepare your thesis project that you will finalize during your second year. For the second year, you have a large choice among all the partner universities. You may choose among, of course, Charles University again, but those who would not love to come back can go to Leiden University, can go to Krakow or Barcelona. We have 2 options here in the second year. Barcelona University Pompeu Fabra offers a research track. There are no obligatory internships, unlike the 3 remaining universities that are more practical and offer you also the internship. We insist on the fact that this is a joint degree, so all our students have the main elements of the program, and in terms of credits, this is equivalent. At the end of the program, you will have a joint diploma of the EPS program. As I already mentioned, our students participate in different extracurricular activities. The main ones are the Barcelona Research Seminar that is organized every year after the first semester. It is a very particular event. This year we had around 100 students plus academics, so it's already a big event where the 2 cohorts mix and our students share their thesis projects. But of course they have also other activities. We offer methodological workshops and key lectures. During your second year, you may participate, you will participate if you're admitted to the Brussels field study trip. You will spend 2 days in Brussels together with your fellow friends and colleagues. You will visit European institutions and you will have the opportunity to meet different experts from European institutions, permanent delegations, and other NGOs and think tanks that are located in Brussels. At the end of your second year, mostly in April, you will be given the opportunity, if you wish, to participate in a very famous event organized by our associated partner Europeum in Oxford, is the Oxford Spring School. If you're interested in the program, and we will later answer more, let's say, practical questions related to the admission procedure and scholarships, please have in mind that the admission deadline for scholarships is at the end of February this year, the February 28th. Scholarships are available, so please have a look at our webpage to see the details. You can see now on the screen some practical information about the tuition and admission. Of course, you can also apply for the self-payers category at the end of April as the first deadline, and you can see the tuition fees, which is different for EU-EA countries and non-EU, non-EA countries. You can also search for alternative sources of funding within the EPS program. We offer the Excellence Scholarship Award, and our students can participate in the Erasmus Plus Mobility. You can always contact us. You can have a look at our webpage, eps.master.eu, and of course on Facebook. I will now stop sharing, and I will give the floor to my colleague from Leiden University, Dr. Maxine David.
Hello, everyone. Thanks very much, Eliška. Just to say, really, at this point, since we want to leave plenty of time for questions, that I am here to answer any questions for those of you thinking about possibly coming to Leiden University, either for your second semester or for the final year. Can sell you a little bit on the beauties of Leiden. I don't think anybody has to do that for Krakow, for Prague or Barcelona, but Leiden is one of those more hidden gems, let's say. Anyway, I'm here to answer any of the questions that you might have, and please forgive me if I look like I'm looking down and not paying any attention. I'm actually also live tweeting about this presentation as well. Thanks very much and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Maxine, for being with us today. We really appreciate that we have a well-working consortium. As I said, we are 4 universities. So if you join the community, you will also join the community of these 4 European universities. And now, Eliška Ulrichová.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's my big pleasure to be here with you. I am the EPS program coordinator at Charles University, and I am basically the person behind the EPS email. So once you have communicated or sent a message to the EPS email and you have received an answer, so that's me who answered that. So my pleasure to meeting you at least that way. Do not hesitate to ask. We are here for you. So whatever question you have, welcome to answer.
Thank you very much, Eliška Ulrichová. And now I would like to give the floor to our students. Catherine, please, can you give us the students' perspective?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be with you here today. My name is Catherine. I'm a first-year student in the EPS program, and I'm currently in Prague, but I'll soon be going to Krakow for my second semester and then Leiden for the final year. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the program or student life. I can say from my experience this semester in Prague that it was a really great semester academically and in terms of some of the extracurricular activities that we had. And it's been a great opportunity to learn not just from professors and lecturers, but from students and meeting people of so many different backgrounds. We just had the Barcelona research seminar last week, and that was also, as Dr. David mentioned, or Eliška earlier, about getting not only to present our thesis topics, but to hear lectures and from other academics as well. So happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Catherine. I'm really proud to say that our students have been really involved in the activities of the consortium as well. We have a student council. We are in constant contact with the students' representative in order to develop our program and to share our perspectives from both sides. We will celebrate 5 years this year already in October. I'm also proud to say that we've been a growing program, and we have already, I would say, a good position on the market in Europe and on the labor market as well. So we'll be happy to welcome you. And now we have time for questions and answers. So please write your questions to the chat. I will start with the innovations we prepared for the program this year. Our program is connected to the legacy of Václav Havel. The program is also named Václav Havel Program. It was the first democratic president of the Czech Republic. So we have introduced more lectures in coordination with our associated non-academic partners. And we wanted to focus more on Václav Havel legacy. So we really very intensively cooperate with Forum 2000, Václav Havel Library, and we are proud that we may also offer our students the connection to these non-academic institutions where they can also start an internship and acquire some kind of different than academic skills, I would say. We also introduced a new leadership program. It's a series of workshops that we launched this academic year. So we will continue with this practice. And I would like to thank also our students that we were able to open the dossier of diversity in EPS. It's another priority issue that we will develop also next year. Let me welcome here as well Leonard from the second year. Hello, Leonard. Can you just tell us a couple of words about your EPS experience?
Yes, gladly. Yeah, so I'm doing my second year right now. I'm currently studying in Krakow, and I've had, of course, a very turbulent experience, if you will, because I started the EPS program in the midst of the strictest lockdown so far in the Czech Republic. And so over the first year, I've barely set foot into any university, which made it this challenging program even more challenging, besides all the cultural things of adapting to new countries, living in places where I didn't know the language. I also had to adjust to studying from home, which, since I had done a gap year before the master's, I hadn't done my bachelor's. And then, but all in all, I've really enjoyed the experience. The program leaves a lot of liberties to kind of set your own study focus. While we have, of course, the rough lines that the program offers. In most courses, you can set your own focus. When you have courses on comparative politics or transnational history, you can kind of find a connection to your own personal interest and thus make the program really your own and follow your own interests within the field prescribed. So I really enjoyed that, and also the intercultural experience of studying with people from dozens of countries. And yeah, so if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer from a student perspective. I'm also representing the student council, student representative of my year. And so we are also very active in trying to connect the preferences of the student body with that of the consortium to really try to make this program as good and unique as possible.
Thank you very much, Leonard. Eliška, I have here a couple of questions related to the practical aspect. So what happens exactly? Our students submit their applications before the end of February. Then what happens? What may we expect?
Well, actually, we stay in touch with our applicants. So after you submit your application, you will receive a series of the email with the information what's going to happen. So, and also please be sure that you pay the application, because in order to have a valid application, in order to be integrated in the admission procedure, it's really needed to proceed with the payment. So please be aware of that. That's the very first step that needs to be taken. There is also a possibility in case you forget to submit any document. So don't worry, there is a possibility to submit additionally a document that you might have forgotten. This is possible by mid-March to the admission email, towards the admission office, but don't worry, you can send it also to the EPS email, and we will forward it to the person in charge, so there is no problem in this respect. And then the admission procedure is 2 rounds, and it's a joint admission procedure, so it takes time, and the results are supposed to be publicly available, or are supposed to be by the end of the April. And there are 2 places where you can find the results. Either you will be informed via email, the email that you entered in the application, and also in the application system you will see the result of the application, including the points per admission category. So you will see how many points you receive per category. So it's important also to check it there.
We'll stay in touch with you, of course. Later we'll organize online chats with our students once you enter the program before the enrollment, so that we can really prepare you for your stay in Prague and your studies in the European Politics and Society. I can see a question about the admission quota for African students. Well, we are a global program, I would say. We are proud that we really welcome students from all over the world. When it comes to the scholarship holders, in this category, we have to follow the guidelines of the European Commission. So there are no quota for continents or regions, but there shouldn't be no more than 3 representatives of one country in order to have some kind of balanced approach. So of course we welcome African students.
There is also another question related to the super-legalization of documents, which I would like to just say that the documentation and the legalization of documents is diverse in terms of where are you from, meaning where these documents are issued. So you need, for instance, a confirmation of a higher education studies or the university studies, and these documents need to be translated into English and then either translated via notarized translation, or some documents need also the apostille, and this really varies according to the country where these documents are issued at. And in this respect, I would like just ask you to contact admission office, who knows this very, very well, because they are responsible for all these technical and translation aspects of the admission procedure. And so please contact them and they will help you what kind of notarization or legislation you need.
Thank you, Eliška. Eliška also mentioned that you will communicate with us in English. So the question concerning the language is also very relevant here. The program is in English, all courses are in English, so you have to have a certain level of English and you have to prove it. But we also offer language courses. Our students can take the advantage of being in different linguistic environments as well. Now we have decided that the language courses will be an integral part of the second year. Our students currently still have a first year language experience, but it means that even outside of the obligatory courses, you may also take additional courses at different universities you are studying. So I think that this linguistic added value is also a very important element of the program. And I think it's also important to stress that our students are very active outside of the program, and we have many interesting student initiatives. So if you wish to learn more about their activities, you can have a look at the European Waves, for example. Catherine or Leonard, can you tell us more about the students' activities outside of classes or outside of the activities we organize by the consortium?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about European Waves. So it was founded by the Leonard's cohort, the second years, last spring, I believe. And it's a student-run blog and news site where any students in the program can propose articles to write about topics in the news or opinion pieces and things like that. And this year, a lot of people from my cohort have gotten very involved with it, which it's been one of the things I've enjoyed most outside of classes this semester, for sure. And we even had some students who started a podcast called The Common Room this semester. And the consortium has been very supportive of that. And it's just a great way to have a chance to, write on a topic that interests you outside of an academic context, and to kind of get to know editing and writing in a journalistic way, as well as the students involved with the podcast. They all edit it themselves, so they're all learning that technology as well, which is very valuable. So yeah, definitely check out European Waves, and we hope that since we're kind of the first, it's in its second year right now, we'd love to have people from the next cohort and the following cohorts get involved so that we can keep it going as well.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Leonard, yes?
Sorry. No, it's definitely quite a relief to see how many of Catherine's cohort ended up being engaged in European Waves, as that's of course always a concern that you have when you start a project like this, to the extent to which it's able to continue once you're gone, essentially. So once we are all graduated from EPS, how well the project will live on. And I think right now we're in a good spirit that this will continue. And besides the articles on our interests, we'll also use that platform to really show some of the extracurricular activities offered by EPS. So we had in November, for example, the second years, we had a trip to Brussels about which we wrote there's an article, and then I took part in a model European Union event in Leiden last year, and did the takeover on the Instagram account of European Waves. So we're also active on most of the conventional social media platforms, and there are also different forms of content that we push there whenever there's people feel inclined to do it. And so there's also a way to really follow the extracurricular activities that we have that the EPS offers.
Thank you very much, both of you. So I invite our applicants also to follow the students' initiatives. And now we have many practical questions. So first of all, there are many questions related to the admission procedure. I would like to ask my colleague, Dr. David from Leiden University, to give us a view on the selection procedure and what we value most when we evaluate the applications.
Thanks very much, and thank you for these very good practical questions. I think the first thing to say is that this is a very challenging program, very demanding, and it's very competitive. So whatever you do for your application, make sure that you take it seriously and make sure that you hit every single element that you have. The Charles University website lists everything that is required for you to submit, so please do look at that very carefully. We go through every element, we rank every element, so if something is missing, you're kind of losing points just because you haven't paid attention to what you actually need to submit. So please submit everything. Alishka Ulrikova, right up here on the screen, is brilliant at answering questions. So if you've got questions about the application process, please do contact her well in advance, of course, right? You can't write a good application in just 2 days. We get a lot of applications every year. That's pretty much a week that I give up to reading everything, ranking it all very carefully. So everything does get read very forensically. I would say that for me, the piece that I get most information from in terms of you as an individual, what you have to offer the program and what you think that the program has to offer you, is from your personal letter, your letter of motivation. So do spend some time on that, and remember that you know, we're an excellent program, but we're not the program for everyone. Right? It is important that you do have to move around different countries. That can be exciting, but it can also be very, very stressful. And so some students might just be better off choosing a master's degree where they stay in one location, right? So please do think very, very carefully about this before you apply. So for me, it's that letter of motivation. I'm always surprised by how much what are usually quite young applicants have managed to fit into their lives already. Right, so please do remember what I say about being competitive. Don't undersell yourself. If you have been doing voluntary work that you think might not be interesting, probably not for you to judge whether that's interesting. Put it on your CV and think about what you gained from that makes you actually, whether it's even just a better person, a better citizen, if you like. Everything counts, right? Not just the academic ability. There's a question about the specific field of study, undergraduate degree. I think that the thing to remember is that you can balance gaps in your education up to now with extracurricular work that you have done, right? So lots of applicants have spent time working with non-governmental organizations, for instance. That matters, right? They might have worked for political parties. That also matters. So don't rule yourself out of something. Apply or ask Alishka in advance. But I, for instance, take a very broad view of education. I think, you know, this is a European politics and society program. That takes in an awful lot, right? So you might be missing courses on European politics, but you might have quite a lot on research methods or European history or economics or law, something like that. So those all count, right? So really my best advice is don't rule yourself out. If need be, we'll rule you out.
Thank you very much, Maxine. We have the pleasure to have Alishka today with us. Of course, she will answer the questions also later, but the most important ones, please, Alishka.
Yes, so let me just to go through a bunch of questions that we have there right now, and I will just build on Maxine what she said. We have really admission criteria that are publicly available on the EPS website. I would strongly recommend you to go through them. There is also mentioning criteria per criteria, what points we value, and really the joint admission committee follow these criteria. So the biggest advice that I would have, go through them and write your application around them, right? This will really help you in following what the program really values in terms of assessing the application. Pretty similar answer would go towards the study background, what Maxine has already partly answered, in terms of there is no limitation related to the background of an applicant. However, we assess the profile of an applicant, and again, that goes in line with the admission criteria that you can look at, and I strongly recommend it in that. What we assess, or what is the emphasis that we put in the admission procedure, again, these are 9 categories, but I would maybe stress one, which is the motivation letter, just as Maxine has just said. Really, I'm receiving quite a lot of questions about the length of the motivation letter. and that it seems to be quite short for applicants. And I would here have one advice: be clear, be concise, and really try to get to the point to say us what you want to say in terms of the admission criteria again. There was also a question related to how many scholarships are available per year. We give 2 to 22 scholarships, basically 20 to students from partner countries and 2 or 3 scholarships from program countries. Another question was about the English language proficiency. So please take note that on the EPS website there are several alternatives how you can prove your English proficiency. One of them is the certificate with the C points as the minimum. This is corresponding to C1 level of your English language knowledge. But there are also other possibilities how to prove it. One of them is that you submit the confirmation by child or by the university you studied at that your study program has been taught entirely in English, right? This is one of the possibility alternatives. So I would again refer you to the EPS website where all these alternatives, all these possible alternatives are listed there, right? Related to the fact whether if you submit your English language confirmation additionally, not by the deadline by February 28, whether it affects somehow your eligibility to the scholarships or to the program. No, if you submit it by mid-March, by March 15, because that's the end of the first round, and by that time really we can include the additional documents in the assessment process, right? So once you submit it by mid-March, no problem with that. I just need to check. Yeah, and related to target score, the target score for scholarships, just please know this is relative in terms that a scholarship received 20 to 2022 best students in the admission procedure. So actually the number of points that are sufficient for scholarship varies per year, but there has been quite an increase throughout the years, and for the last time the minimum point score that was sufficient for the scholarships was 85.
Thank you, Eliška, for the clarifications. And when it comes to numbers as well, so Eliška already confirmed that we are able to give around 20-22 scholarships per year. And of course, we have also self-payers. Now the two categories are quite balanced, I would say, in one cohort. So we have in total around 50 students. So this is already a big number. All these students, as I said in the introduction, will meet in Prague for the first semester, then you split and you go to different universities. What was the most challenging experience for you, Catherine and Leonard, during your EPS studies?
I can go first, I guess. I think, again, as Maxine kind of alluded, living in different countries, it's a great experience, but it can also be very challenging. And so I think for me, especially living in a country where I don't speak the language, was challenging for this semester, but it's definitely something that I think a lot of people can overcome. And I've had experience living abroad before, but in countries where I spoke the language. And so I think that was challenging. And then this semester, just due to the changing COVID situation, there were some just things that changed. And so I think everyone, you have to be willing to be flexible and know that everyone's in the same situation with COVID. And so it can be a challenge, but we were lucky to have our courses mostly in person this semester. And then the Barcelona seminar was online, but students who were we were allowed to still travel to Barcelona and do the seminar online from there, which a lot of us did, and had the opportunity to meet Leonard and a lot of other second-year students in person for the first time. So that was a great experience.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Well, COVID was, as part of the context, was a challenge for everyone, for the academic team as well. We struggled and we learned a lot. We, of course, implemented online teaching methods at the beginning, and we were able this academic year to teach in person. We were lucky to do so. We had to transfer some of the extracurricular events to the online mode, and we hope we will come back to the offline, but it's also some kind of added value of the program that we can connect with our universities in Europe and outside of Europe, because we have different partners in different regions of the world. Especially we have some priority, let's say, partner regions in the Caucasus, in the Mediterranean, in Latin America. So keeping some of the online methods will be still part of the EPS experience. Leonard, would you like to add something?
Yes, gladly. So for me, the biggest difficulty in the program was by far the different procedures of basically the bureaucracy of each university that differed a lot, and is also, again, the language barrier comes into play, that a lot of the times there are always English translations for all of the procedures, but sometimes they were not that easy to find. And then when you're moving from one university to the next, that really sometimes proved a struggle when you then had to, when you just barely got used to the enrollment procedure, for example, at one university, and then have to suddenly do a whole different procedure at the next. That was certainly one of the bigger struggles. For me personally, though, the living in countries where I don't speak the language is also sometimes a bit of a bliss, where it's just nice to be able to go on a walk and just not hear anything because you don't understand it anyway. So that's honestly one of the things I enjoy a bit more than living in my home country, than just being able to block everything out and enjoy silence.
Thank you very much, Leonard. So coming back to practical things, we forgot to tell you, when we compare the numbers, we gave you numbers about the scholarships and total number of students in one cohort. To give you one last point of information, and then the total number of applications we get every year. So it's around 400. We don't know this year, of course, but we expect to have same numbers. So as my colleague from Leiden University, Dr. David, said, it's a very competitive program, and it will continue to be so. Maxine, can you tell us maybe if our EPS students are different from other students? What do you feel that there's anything special about the program for you?
I don't know that the students are necessarily any different, except that it might be that they are more willing to take on challenging situations, because as Leonard has alluded to, it's not easy to move between or among countries if you're going to go to 3 different universities rather than just 2, because you can, of course, return to Prague for your final year. So I think that that's important, but I also think that what perhaps marks our students out is an understanding that they are eventually going to be working in a global economy. So while this might be quite tough to do, imagine on your CV at the end you have shown that you are not only able to, but you are willing to uproot yourself, go and take on new challenges that you don't necessarily have to. And I think that says an awful lot about the personal character of our alumni, ultimately. The other thing is that this is a 2-year program. So perhaps these are students who are coming into the program with a much better idea about what they want to do ultimately. Right? It's very common at Leiden University in the Netherlands, generally, for instance, for students to do 2 one-year master's degree And sometimes those master's degrees are very, very different from each other. Whereas I think a lot of our students come in knowing already that they want to work in the EU institutions, or they want to work around the European institutions, or they want to work within their ministries, and particularly those ministries that see them dealing with relations with other states and other entities as well. So trade, for instance, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, things like this. So perhaps that's it. But otherwise, our students are human beings like any other, and we treat them precisely that way. Having said that, I suppose as well, maybe a greater sense of fun, because why would you put yourself through all of this moving around, looking for accommodation, dealing with visas, since many of our students have to do that, if you didn't know that you were also capable of kind of putting that all aside and thinking about, well, what are the benefits of all of this, and how am I going to maximize my opportunity and make sure I have fun while I'm also learning?
I see the next question is also for you. It's about the multidisciplinarity of the program. Just how multidisciplinary is the program?
Very multidisciplinary, although we might also argue that it's interdisciplinary. So this is a bit of a black box of a question about what we mean by disciplines. But certainly, so speaking for LIDA, for instance, we have an MA in International Relations, right? So distinct from the EPS program, and it's with mostly the students of MAIR that the EPS students will be working with, certainly in the second year. And we have a European Union Studies specialization, and that one we bill as multidisciplinary, that students have got to learn politics, law, history, and economics. You have to do courses in all of those. So students who are coming to us for the second semester have to do that because there are mandatory courses. So they have to do Justice and Home Affairs. They have to do economics. I guess history is the one that they can kind of escape there. They also have to do research methods, and currently they have to do a language with us as well. So the linguistics, I think, also not to be underestimated, because we do think that that is important across the program, because it's really, so, you know, what I have full sympathy with what Leonard was saying. I'm British originally, but one of the things of my early years in the Netherlands when I understood no Dutch was that I could walk around and not really hear much English, although everybody in the Netherlands does pretty much speak English. But crucially, I didn't know anything about Dutch politics. So also when I wanted to turn off from things like that, it was very, very easy to do so. That changes over a period of time. And I think that we would all advocate that you learn at least one of the languages of the consortium, because we would all argue that that gives you deeper cultural insights as well into that state. The multidisciplinarity then might turn to interdisciplinarity. I, for instance, am going to tell you that if you tell me that something is happening in the world that can be explained purely from an economic perspective, I will say you cannot separate economics from politics. So in that sense as well, we try to instill in our students a sense of the indivisibility of things like economics and politics, that law also matters as well, and that if you want to understand just one final thing to say, Leonard was completely right in that while there are mandatory elements to the course, to the program, when you get to your second year, you've got a lot of freedom in terms of your choice of courses and of course your thesis as well. So in this sense, you can bed yourself into those bodies of literature that you have found most compelling along the way. So was there something in your first semester in Prague that you think, okay, I really want to come back to that in my final year? And then we try and find you a supervisor who's got some research expertise in that, so that you can deepen your knowledge and understanding. So in this sense, you absolutely have some capacity to make the program your own.
Thank you very much, Maxine. I would like also to add my perspective on interdisciplinarity. I really believe it's a very important element of the program, because it's not only a theoretical approach, let's say, but these are also different approaches and cultures and different perspectives that you bring as students to the consortium, to the EPS community. Then of course you discuss it with your fellow students. We as academics also, we bring our perspectives that are maybe different, not only from a disciplinary point of view, but also coming from different environments and European regions. But this picture is also completed by our associated partners. We had many guest lecturers. I can give you some example, for example, from the Prague semester. We are in touch with interesting non-governmental organizations. We had some experts from state administration. We had our former Minister of Foreign Affairs who discussed with us the specificities of a small state foreign policy, for example, the former candidate to the presidency in Czech Republic. So I believe that these different perspectives also contribute to the richness of the program. Then again, practical questions. Eliška.
Yeah, there is a question about the experience from the professional life and practical life. So I would just maybe to stress once more that our admission criteria do not assess only motivation letter, reference letters, university you are coming from, grades that you have received, but also the internalization of your profile and also the experience from practical life that you have. So even these activities in your CV are taken into account. And again, I would draw your attention to the admission criteria, because it will really help you to make your application tailored to the EPS program. Because what we have seen through the admission process several times is that these even motivation letters are somehow more generic, not really well tailored for the EPS program, and from time to time it's even visible that an applicant didn't really look on the admission criteria. Since they are publicly available, it might be a pity for you. So I would really draw the attention again to this document that is available on the EPS website.
Sorry, can I just add something to this as well? I think that this is a really important question. When I'm reading applications, I am thinking about a diversity agenda here, and I'm thinking also about diversity in terms of social mobility. It is a privilege if you can spend your free time doing voluntary work. Not everybody is in a position to do voluntary work as well. So I actually think it's very important that you flag up your work experience, because this suggests to us that perhaps you are not in a position to have done some of the voluntary work that others might have done. But meanwhile, you are off there earning money because you have to. And you are also absolutely gaining transferable skills, which will be very, very relevant to this program as well. Right, working life, no matter what your working life, generally means that you're having to deal with people, you're having to problem solve, think on your feet. It says something about your personal qualities and everything else. So please, I urge you, don't downplay what you have to do. If you've had to work in a supermarket 10 hours a week since you were 16 or something, well, put that down on your CV. It says something very positive about you, all right? So yeah, I just really want to flag this. This is not, we should not see this as an elitist program at all.
Thank you very much, Maxine. I fully agree with you. Eliška Ulrichová pointed at the documents and information you can find on the website. But if you want to know more, you can also find the EPS handbook for students, which is a very useful document that gives you an idea not only about practical questions about the curriculum and other elements of the program. There is a thesis handbook as well, but of course you can find some testimonies of our alumni, and that's another very interesting category. We have some students ambassadors that are willing to share with you their experience. So feel free to contact us. And of course, our current students may be in touch with you as well before you enroll the program. So please use this opportunity, because it's very important to know more, not only from the academics and stuff, but also from the students. I would like to thank them for this. Okay, Eliška, do you have anything to add that's important for our students? Because you are the one who is really in touch, who is communicating with our students and applicants. Is there something that appears like every year and it's very important to stress? We shouldn't forget our students shall be prepared for special deadlines, etc.
Well, maybe to say there is always the question that is slightly practical, slightly not so highly practical, but there is very often there is a question about the internship in the program, whether if a student or if an applicant chooses to go to Barcelona for the second year, whether it means that he or she is forbidden for taking an internship. So I would just maybe to clarify on that, because we have, as Eliška at the very beginning said, that we have more practical internship study path, meaning Prague, Krakow and Leiden in a second year, and more the research-oriented one, meaning the Barcelona in a second year. But in case you decide to go to Barcelona in a second year, it doesn't really mean that you have no possibility to do the internship. Of course you can, but it will not be listed in your transcript, meaning that it will not be part of the curriculum listed in your transcript in your final diploma. So this is just important to stress, and why quite a few students do the internships, even studying the second year in Barcelona, but just not as an integral part of the EPS program. And maybe another remark related to the question of the study part and the questionnaire that you are asked to submit during the application process, choosing what study path you prefer. So here I would like to point out that in case your application is successful, the EPS consortium asks all applicants that are accepted and they confirm the intention to be part, to enroll in a program. We ask again if you have any updates related to your preferences, and this is important because based on your motivation that you describe in this supplementary questionnaire, we finalize the study path of students even before the enrolling in a program, so in June, July. And you enroll in September. So it's important, really, you describe your motivation and where you want to go. But again, as I said, in May, we ask those of you that are accepted and confirm the interest to enroll, to update if there are anything to update about this element.
Thank you very much, Eliška. We have a couple of minutes, and of course the program is not only about the, let's say, practical elements, the curriculum, but also students' life and social life during your studies. Maxine, can you tell us more about the extracurricular events that you organize in Leiden?
Thank you. So I think all of the sites, it's fair to say, organise various extracurricular events. Very often these are in the form of guest lectures, whether from academics or policymakers. Actually, in COVID times, we've been very lucky because we have been able to go online, and so we have been able to have, when I've been running seminars in Leiden, students have been able to join us from Barcelona, for instance, on Zoom. So one of the silver linings from the pandemic. We do also, so for instance, well, Catherine will find out very soon, and Leonard has experience for himself. I am the coordinator in Leiden, but Dr. Joost Augustijn is the chair in Leiden, and we organize basically a drinks get together when students first arrive in Leiden for their second year, and well, when we were allowed to for the second year, for the first year as well normally. And we were very lucky this summer. We were able to have a good drinks goodbye, which I think Leonard can testify to as being good fun. So that was nice. So I say this just to really kind of emphasize the fact that we think that the social activities are as important as the more formal classroom or seminar activities. This is the time that we really get to know each other, to understand what the differences in the different cultures really are. Just to say something about the kind of formal ones as well, because we've talked about the Barcelona Research Seminar. So just to clarify, this is the event of the year in January where all students travel to Barcelona ordinarily in non-COVID times. And first year students present their preliminary ideas on their thesis. Second year students present their hopefully very, very well established ideas on their thesis, considering they'll be submitting 6 months later. Social activities also matter there as well. So there's a lot of interaction at lunchtimes, but also afterwards. Sometimes the students on their own, and sometimes we, the staff, also kind of muscle in there a little bit. And this is also the time as well that we have keynote lectures from researchers talking about their research, particularly in respect of method as well, just to kind of encourage students to think about different ways of doing their projects. Then in Oxford, in the spring for the second year, second year students can apply to deliver a paper at now this is where the European more widely comes together. So you have got students from different European programs all applying to deliver their paper over 2.5 days. And if you get accepted, then you get to, as I say, deliver that paper. We also select a few of the second year students to act as discussants on other people's papers as well, so that you get some practice in those terms. And of course, you get to travel to Oxford in England normally, right? And we are thinking about, I think we are doing that in person this year. And then the final thing is second year students, you go on the Brussels study trip in the autumn semester. And we were very fortunate that we just got in the window that COVID allowed us this year, and went in November to Brussels, and that was fabulous, seeing all the students and some of the staff members in person there. And this is where we bring people from the institutions or other entities in Brussels to talk about either how to apply for jobs or what it is like to do those jobs, or to talk about kind of serious policy matters with us as well. So that's a 2-day trip. And the social activities are also an important part of that. And as Alishka said, now that we're coming up to 5 years, we're starting to get a body of alumni. So we're also starting to do alumni events around the Brussels study trip. I do want to say, however, though, that you also need to think carefully about this when applying, because if you don't get a scholarship, it is mandatory that you go to Barcelona, and it is mandatory that you go to Brussels. So you need to think about the finances of that as well. So again, just us urging you to look at the website to make sure that you really understand the fullness of the program. Hopefully the benefits are clear, but you do also need to think about those costs.
Catherine.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about some extracurricular events we had in Prague this semester. We were lucky to, even with COVID, be able to have a lot of events that were in person. So we had a trip to the Prague Zoo, which was very, very interesting, and it fit with the program in a way that you might not expect. And we also had a trip to Pilsen and a couple of tours of Prague, one kind of about the general history and communist history, and then a tour of the Jewish quarter in Prague as well. And I'd also say that there's a lot of events offered by Charles University as well, that it's worth reading the emails that you get from them, because some of them, for example, around the Struggle for Freedom and Democracy Day, there were some events, and there was a film screening hosted by the American Embassy that a few of us were able to go to. And so it's worth definitely reading all of those emails and taking advantage of all of the things that Charles University has to offer, and Prague as well. We organized an event, a Q&A with Radio Free Europe and a journalist from the Belarusian service this semester, which was very valuable as well. So there's lots of opportunities to be involved outside of classes.
Thank you very much, Catherine. And we have a last round of practical questions. Eliška?
Yes, there is a question about the length of the motivation letter and the length of the CV. So related to motivation letter, there is really a limit. So your motivation letter is supposed not to be longer than 3,000 characters, including spaces. So we can check again, the EPS website is written there. So please make sure you follow it. As for the CV, there is not really a strict limitation, but I would just say follow the common practice. Usually we receive 2 pages of a CV, sometimes 3 pages, and I think this is this is acceptable. So I would go with 2 pages as the recommendation. There was also a question related to third motivation letter. I would be honestly careful about that, because there are 2 recommendation letters, that we ask for you. One of them at least is supposed to be from an academic. The second might be from your work experience, who you really find suitable to write for you the motivation letter for the program. Again, it's specified in the admission criteria. I mean, you can, in the section of other documents, you can of course upload additional documents, but it's up to admission committee to be, taken into account related to the points to this category, right? Once you submit additional documents, these are the ones that might be assessed also in a category that is called others, which is in a way parallel, so the assessment process might take them into account in this category.
Thank you very much, Eliška. Thank you everyone for participating in this open virtual day. I would like to remind you that you can also send us questions before the deadline. You may be also, if you're interested, in touch with our students and alumni. So I hope I will see you in Prague in September 2022, and we'll get the chance together to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the EPS program. Thank you, Eliška, Maxine, Ladislav, Leonard, and Catherine for being with us. Have a nice afternoon.